Let's rock, baby.
All right, Travis, you ready to continue?
Yes.
Alrighty. So before we get into the next one, we have to we have something to talk about real quick. That is actually quite important. Did you boys know there is a Devil May Cry anime?
Oh, I know.
Yes, you told me about it. You had me download the theme for it in the form of a Guitar Hero chart so that we could play it on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, so there is a Devil May Cry anime, or is it called DMC, the animated series. It takes place in between 1 and 4, and a lot of the DMC fanbase actually hates it. I don't know why, but I really like it because you actually get to see a lot more chill side of Dante, as he just does regular missions instead of big old real life changing missions like in the games. Like, there's literally an episode where you get to know about what Dante's favorite song is, you get to know his childhood a bit more, his real name, a lot of really interesting stuff. Because actually, Dante's name, Dante is just an alias. One of many. Like, his actual real name is Tony Redgrave. That was used when he was younger. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, there is a whole episode of a guy that comes into his store who says he's been looking for him and claims to be an old childhood friend of his. And it's a really good episode. And I don't know why all the DMC, like a lot of the DMC fan base hates this. Mainly because there's not that much action in it at all.
Yeah, that's probably why, because that's how, like, usually the anime or manga community is pretty much like, and I know that from experience, because, like, most of them, especially the shonen, like the shonen general, the shonen part, they just care about fights all the time. But like shonen is not always about fights.
Yeah. But the anime does also introduce how Lady meets Trish, and Dante has his informant / mission giver named Morrison, who is actually going to be in DMC5, which is really cool, and a little girl who is actually a really interesting character who gets quite a bit of development is a little girl named Patty, who I actually kind of hope appears in 5 along with Morrison. She's this little blonde girl that Dante does a mission for in the first episode, and then just hangs around his office and becomes his maid. And that, like,
Okay.
A lot of the chat is saying that Tony Redgrave is his alias.
Yeah, he used that as like an alias at the beginning, and it's
okay.
Yeah, I kind of twiddled my words with that a little bit, but yeah, it's all right. But yeah, it has a 12 episode run, and it's quite good. I even have it right here. But now let's get into DMC4. The one.
Bro, what are you doing here?
So, this one is an interesting one because who is that on the right side?
That's Nero.
Virgil Jr.
Yes, actually.
Now, let's get into DMC4, boys. We start with Out of the Darkness. Now, we start in a big old city. Huh?
What about 2?
Wait.
Huh?
There.
What? Huh? What?
Well, there's
4
3.
comes after 1.
There was 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Yeah, in DMC4, it takes place in a city called Fortuna, which is a very gothic-looking city, as you can see. And the first thing we see is Nero here running down the street, trying to get somewhere until a bunch of scarecrow demons, as they're called, are blocking his way. And I don't know what you do in these situations, but wha-bam! And he literally just starts beating them all up and starts going to town. Like, he really just starts going to town and all that, and starts picking up the Scarecrow's arm and really just starts beating them up. And actually, you could see Dante looking at him in the corner there.
Oh my god. I see him. He's
Yeah.
upside down.
Yep.
Oh, he is.
What the fuck? That's cool.
Yeah. Fun fact. In the intro scene to 4, when Nero's beating up all these scarecrows, there's a scene where it tilts under him, and you see Dante briefly in the left corner.
Huh.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Dad watching over his boy.
More like uncle, but we'll get to that later. So after he's beaten up all those demons, he starts running up to the cathedral, who turns out, while this is going on, a girl here, Kyrie, is singing, and we'll get into more about Kyrie in a second.
Good night, Grove.
Oh, Grove is leaving us. Ah.
Yeah.
All right, see you, dude. We had Kyrie singing her butt off, really good singer, and Nero's waifu and childhood friend. And we get a good shot at Dante here looking over the cathedral. Now, it is at this point we gotta rate Nero's look. I want you boys to rate Nero on the left, and why not Kyrie on the right as well? Go for it.
So,
Kyrie's
Nero.
too innocent to be in these games.
Nero, I give him 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Pretty solid. And what's her name?
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Kyrie. I give her 10 out of 10. I smash.
That's how you're supposed to rate it.
8 out of 10 for Nero, and then 10 out of 10 would smash.
Even Nick knows.
Yeah. Gotta give 9 out of 10 for Nero because gotta love. I love the jacket is so cool.
Oh, I see.
It is cool.
Oh, I see Spirit leaving, mentioning something I should actually talk about. So, another fun fact in the development of this game is only half of the game was complete.
Yep.
Wow.
And now, Carl, Nick, you've played this, and you ever wondered why, when you played as Dante, you went backwards?
Oh, actually,
'Cause
I
you didn't
never
finish
played
the
this
game.
Dante. I only played a little bit of it, like the first. Yeah, I ain't finished it either.
Well, fun fact, the game was only half finished, and Dante was added there. He was gonna have his own missions, but instead his levels are just Nero's in reverse.
Which was the most obnoxious thing, honestly.
That's
It
lazy.
just,
That's lazy.
it just felt like tacked on missions that didn't need to be there. It felt like I could just keep playing as Nero and I would have got the same experience.
Yeah.
Dante's
Yeah,
cool
pretty
and
much.
different and fun to play as, but like story-wise, it did not matter.
See, the
Dante
thing
could've
is,
just popped in
yeah,
again.
the thing is with DMC4 is that it is a really good game. I just like 3 more personally, but it's half a game. And
Yeah.
the whole game's mechanics are based around Nero, not Dante, because he's mainly about the Buster arm, which we'll get into later, and Dante is
Big
just,
old
well,
grabbies.
Dante. Yeah, his arm right there, I bet you, Travis, and Carl have a bit of questions about it, but we'll get into it later. Now.
Looks like he's built to please.
Wait, what?
Looks like he's built to please. He doesn't want to have a demon arm badass sword wielder.
Alrighty, well, I'm just gonna continue with genocide. So, after the beginning scene, we see a cathedral, which is run by this organization called the Order, which Nero is a part of, who's just chilling here. And his arm is a bit damaged from a fight or whatever. There is a manga that takes place... I can't remember if it takes place before 4 or it's an adaptation of 4, but I know there's like an explanation as to why, but that's basically he's just covering up what his arm really is. He's just using it as an excuse. And we also are introduced to Credo, who is Kyrie's older brother, who is also the captain of the Holy Knights of the Order. And we also see that Nero is gifted Kyrie a certain thing, which comes into play later on as well. And we are also introduced to Papa Sanctus the Pope.
Praising
Or as
his
I
Lord.
like to call him
Like
later in the game, Super Pope.
We'll get into that later. But yeah, the major thing about the Order here is that they praise Sparta as a god because he saved this land years ago from a demon invasion, and that's why they kind of just praise him as a god.
Oh, okay.
And basically, they're just really weird as they basically run the entire town of Fortuna because of this, and it's just a really religious town. So think of it as the DMC's version of the Vatican.
I can do that.
Okay. I was gonna say, what's that? What's that city called Sonic 06?
Oh fuck no! What?
Trash heap. I don't know. It's, Venezuela.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
but as they're like, Papa Sanctus says, which he's just giving off his monologue about how Sparta saved the land and all, and Nero starts getting up as they're praying. And he says, "I'm out of here. I'm getting tired of this shit," and he just wants to leave, until he notices his arm starts glowing, and he looks up, and then, wha-bam! Dante flies through the ceiling, crashes through the window, lands on the Pope's seat, sees the thing on the desk, looks at him real nice, points the gun at him, and blap!
Kill Pope.
He kills the Pope.
Yeah, I remember the first time watching the scene, I was just like, huh? Why, Dante? Why'd you kill the Pope?
I was like, damn, I don't even remember. I was
I'm
like,
currently
awesome.
like, just go ahead and kill the Pope in front of all of his followers. That's a great idea.
So yeah, it was a great idea because now all the soldiers are pissed and try to kill him. And Dante just starts kicking their asses. But during all this, Kyrie's gift she gets knocked and her gift starts to fall. And Credo starts grieving over Papa Sanctus's death. While Dante is literally grabbing dudes by the dick and throwing them around with his sword. And he eventually starts to notice Credo over there. Starts walking up to him while he's still grieving. And Kyrie gets knocked over in the midst of this. And Dante just gives her a real mean look. And then Nero, badassly might I add, jumps up, drop kicks him in the face.
Hey, asshole.
Hey, asshole. Knocks him real good. Shoots at him. Dante blocks it with his guns, and then they have a standoff. Now,
I like Nero's gun, by the way.
yeah, Nero. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about Nero's gun real quick. By the way, his gun is really dumb. By the way, it's a 2-hole revolver pistol that shoots 2 bullets, which really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because it's funny in 4 that it just acts the same way as Dante's guns, which I like in 5 after playing the demo. It actually feels like a revolver.
You can load chambers and like save them for shots and reload it later. It works good in 5.
Yeah, it's real good. But yeah, they're on this gigantic statue of Sparta, by the way, and you can see Dante's sword impaled on his forehead.
Stupid.
Now, Credo tells him, "I'll send backup. You stall until then." Now, I highly recommend you look up Dante versus Nero fight scene. For like Travis, I know you definitely haven't seen it. It is I'm going to show pictures of the fight, but they do not compliment how awesome this fight scene is. So,
Pretty good.
So first of all,
It is.
Nero tosses his headphones off. Dante jumps up. Nero literally eats the gun. I mean, not literally eat it, but just blocks it with his mouth because he can't use his other hand. They literally have a really cool gunfight in the air. They start running along the sword. It's really cool. Dante's mocking him the entire time in this, by the way. It is ridiculous. And however, almost about quarter way through when you actually fight him, Dante stabs Nero on the hand, his bad fapping hand, and Dante says, "You got a trick up your sleeve," and Nero says, "I thought the cat had your tongue, but if it's a trick you're looking for." Yeah. Dante looks behind him as he gets thrown off. Nero, screeching, picks up the sword that Sparta was holding.
Oh my God.
My goodness.
And tosses it at Dante. And there's a good look at the Devil Bringer for you, Travis. That is Nero's other arm. He has a demon arm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool looking.
Yep. I like the fingertips. How it's glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Now, you have a really cool fight with Dante in the church during all this. And Dante gets impaled again, added to the counter.
Oh goody.
That makes 8. I think that makes 8.
God.
Yeah.
Stab.
Yeah, it's a trend.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, Dante gets impaled, and Nero thinks the job is done until Dante literally gets off it and just starts talking to him.
I remember this too.
Yeah. Dante's chilling.
Yeah.
Dante's so used to penetration, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
That's
shouldn't have said to Nero like, you shouldn't have known. I had this. This happened to me before.
This has happened to me like 7 times.
Fails.
Yeah.
Now, Dante starts explaining to Nero, you're quite different from the others. And Nero looks at one of the guards and notices they're demified. And
If there's a way to make us louder for the stream, do so, because Alakar says we are not loud.
Oh, we aren't loud? Give me a moment, people. You will see this for a second. Is that any better? Oh, yeah.
By the way, I'm watching the Dante versus Nero fight scene, and it's actually really cool.
Good time.
Yeah.
Dante's such
a good time.
snarky asshole. I love it.
Right, I hope we're loud enough. So, yeah.
Let that go.
Okay, so basically, Dante just says you're just different than the others, and I've lost the plot now because I'm switching off my fucking thing.
Dante got impaled 8 times, alright? Keep going.
Yeah, so Dante gets impaled 8 times, he runs off, and Nero hides his arm from the police. And now, we gotta rate Dante, you guys gotta rate Dante again. Here's how he looks in DMC 4, with the Devil Trigger on the right.
11 out of 10, straight up.
Now,
Double trigger looks so...
I'm
surprisingly...
giving these 10 out of 10s.
Now, surprisingly, I'm not that much of a fan of his DMC4 Devil Trigger that much. I'm honestly not a fan of the face looks weird to me because it's just regular glowy eye face. But yeah, I can make do with it because you never see it. But what really does it for me is the coat and how it looks. He's got literal bug coat.
I like his coat.
Yeah, and also you can't go wrong with so much belts and cowboy shoes.
Yeah, keep Dante cowboy boots. I'm down.
Yeah, I like him. Yo, his outfit's pretty dope.
Yeah. He's got real good. In my opinion, second best looking Dante.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, let us continue. So, after all that, Kyrie starts picking up her gift, which turns out to be a really pretty looking necklace that Nero gave her. Probably spent it on prostitute money. I don't know, but he ends up getting a sword from Credo, which is the Red Queen, which literally revs up.
He looks like a... He oh my god, he looks like a kid on Christmas.
I know, right?
Yeah.
He looks like the kid from A Christmas Story getting the BB gun.
No, poke your eye out, kid.
Shoot your eye out.
I like...
That's great.
I like what Nero says here is that Kratos explaining to him you gotta track him down, and Nero says, "Guy just came from hell. He's gotta hit up a couple tourist sites."
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, Nero's got his shit going. However, Nero and Kyrie are about to have a moment together, which get used to, by the way. However, the church starts rumbling, and once they get outside, oh no! The church is being attacked! Look at those people dying! And what ensues is a really freaking badass scene with Nero going to work with Red Queen and his arm. Still trying to keep a secret, by the way, because no one knows he has it. And then, there's a good shot of him revving the sword, Travis, because that's what he does. It literally revs the sword with that little switch on top of there. It's really cool. And there's a good shot of him right there, where he says, "This thing sure can pack a punch." Now, at this point, the main meat of the game begins, where he starts walking around and starts going to places. Like he goes to he starts going to the inner city, and he meets the badass first boss, Burial, the king of fire hell.
I remember that boss.
Burial's so fucking cool.
Here's a good look for him.
He looks like Kolek.
What?
He looks like Kolek. Hold on, you don't know who Kolek is?
Who's that from?
He's from Total War Fantasy.
Oh, the fucking, yeah. You guys say Warhammer, and then I'm like, yeah.
He looks like one of the incarnations of Ifrit from the Final Fantasy games.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Burial is honestly one of the most badass bosses. And I saw a comment earlier, and I think this is a common misconception, because on the Devil May Cry wiki, and I don't know where this information came from, but it's stated that Burial is Mundus' son, but doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And
it
I
really
don't...
doesn't.
For the why?
Link in the YouTube chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I honestly don't know if there's anything to back that up that I know of, but that's just something that I don't believe everything you read on the internet, kids. Anyway,
True.
Moving on. We meet Gloria, another member. We meet Gloria, who is another member of the Order Nero meets when he tries to go to Fortuna Castle. And she's just another member of the Order that ends up talking to Nero about how the demons have been rising and rising as of late. Really wacky stuff. There's another good shot of her right there. She uses two little sickle thingies, little pocket knives, little butter knives, little breadsticks. I don't know. Moving on. And later on, when Nero gets in the castle, he starts looking for more information about Dante and what's going on around here, until he sees Omar.
Why Omar?
No, he sees another member of the Order, Holy Knights, in armor. Look how badass he looks.
That looks dope.
He's got a big old shield and stuff. Now, he starts doing all this crazy stuff, and these guys are called Angelo. Wait, no, sorry, not Angelo. Bianco Angelos. That's what these guys are called. They're really neat, really fun to fight as well. Until Nero starts trying to talk to him, until he literally tries to take a stab at him, and Nero says, "So much for friendly banter." And they have a really cool fight to go on. And Nero finds out that it's just a demon possessing the armor, which isn't good. And you end up fighting a lot of these guys from this point on. And as you get further in the castle, you start to meet... Nero sees two floating naked ladies. Hoo-hoo. Look at these. Oh, fuck, that ain't a naked lady.
Nah.
That is the
Fuck that boss.
Anglerfish.
Yeah.
Nick has some personal history with Bale.
Yeah, I think it was when I had to fight Bale with Dante. I just fucking sucked at it. Got fucked so many times.
So yeah, this is Bale, who kind of rules the ice regions of hell. Huh?
No, there is not a recording of this.
So yeah, this is Bale, who is this giant frozen frog who has these two like really attractive lady figures as for like little thingies to attract prey, sort of thing.
Sirens.
Yeah. Really neat. And oh my god, amazing gaming's in the chat? Holy shit.
Amazing gaming.
This guy posts a lot of Devil May Cry stuff. Hey, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's dope.
Hello.
Yeah, if you want like the latest on Devil May Cry news and stuff, just go to his channel. He posts a lot of good stuff on there. How you doing, dude? Nice to see you. Glad you could join us. Anyway, let us continue. Now, after Nero kind of beats up Bale here, he heads back in the castle and literally takes a swing at a picture of Sanctus and heads along deeper into the castle. However, during all this, we see the return of the king, the Pope lying down with Kratos just standing there. And when we think Papa Sanctus is dead,
Right.
Super Pope is born.
Deep demonic pope.
yeah, it turns out that Sanctus is kind of a demon. A little bit.
Wow.
And he's been resurrected. And it's also in this moment that we meet another member of the Order named Agnus, who is a really crazy little scientist dude, who gets a bit worried as Nero starts to enter closer to Nero's to his lab.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So yeah, he starts to get a bit worried about Nero, like him getting closer to his lab that is hidden in the castle, and he starts oogling about how cool Sanctus is and stuff. But yeah, they have this little ceremony that they get turned into angels, but they're not really angels.
Those ain't no angels.
But yeah, Kratos starts to investigate more about what's going on about Dante, and Agnus starts writing down, "I gotta make better clothes." And while this is going on, Nero plays some board games.
Yeah, fuck the board games.
What?
I literally thought that was Connect 4 for a second.
Yeah, Nero plays some board games. You gotta play some Monopoly. And this is literally, I am
Fight
not...
a couple of demons, waste a good 5 minutes based on how lucky you are, and then go to the next mission.
And I'm not kidding when I say this. This is, when you really think about it, this is the security to Agnus's lab.
Oh, boy.
Luck that will eventually just go in your favor.
Anyway. So yeah, Nero starts to get deeper into the lab until he sees his arm glowing again, and he notices ahead of him something encapsulated hovering in a pod. I wonder what that could be.
Yamoto.
What?
Nah.
Oh, hey, look, it's Virgil's broken katana.
It's Yamato.
Yeah, I wonder what that
I mean,
could
yo
be.
mama, what?
Yeah, I
Tomato,
wonder what...
tomato.
I like Mohammed's comment. So does Agnus have to play Monopoly every time he wants to go in the lab?
Yeah, sometimes he just doesn't get in. Sometimes he just gets mad and flips the table. Goes home.
So yeah,
Fuck this shit.
Nero sees Virgil's sword Yamato just sitting there, and Agnus introduces himself. And I like the exchange they have here with Agnus saying, "I am Agnus," and he says he works in secrecy, very few people know about his existence. And Nero says, "Funny, the kind of guy like you living in a hellhole kind of place like this." And Agnus says, "Hellhole? Watch your words." And funny thing, another funny quote in this scene is Agnus just starts giving him a bunch of shit, and he says, "Just as foul-mouthed as I'd heard." And Nero says, "You gonna judge me just because of the way I talk?" Because the thing is with Agnus is that he has a humongous stutter problem.
You guys ever see Billy Madison?
Wow.
Today, Junior.
I love it. I love it. It's so dumb, but it's so good.
Yeah, starts giving him a bunch of shit, and then a bunch of swords come out.
Gives him the worst enemy in the game.
Yeah, take a look at like the actually really fun enemy to fight as Nero, but a pain in the ass when you're playing as Dante.
Yeah. When you're
So-
Nero, it's fine because you just throw them.
So this fight is stupid because all it is throwing a demon at a fucking wall, and that's it. But eventually,
A window.
yeah, and eventually Nero breaks down the window. Agnus is like, "Ah!" And he states, "That's demonic power. How can it be?" And Nero says, "Look who's talking, jackass. Now answer my question. What's going on around here?" And Agnus starts explaining what's going on until he notices his arm, how cool it looks. And he then just starts telling Nero how what if we can summon and isolate and bind demonic power and just do a bunch of crazy summoning stuff. As you find out, he's been creating these gates to get a bunch of demons out. For why we don't really know. And he also states that Nero kind of just tells him, "You better ditch the efforts, pal, because His Holiness is dead." And Agnus says, "Ah, but he's been reborn as an angel, and soon so shall I." And then Nero gets impaled.
Oh.
I remember that part.
I remember. Oh, but not only once, but he gets impaled some more.
Good.
So add a impale counter for Nero, please. But yeah, Nero gets impaled by a bunch of Angelos, and Agnus starts talking about how he's been the one binding all the demons to armor, and how hard it's been to summon one demon to make one armor come to life. And yeah, he's just been talking about how he's just been ramming his dick off about how the Hellgate, which is what's causing Burial, Bale, and all the other bosses to come out. And as at this point, he really just starts monologuing, and he takes a real good interest in Nero's arm until he says, "Nah, dog, you ain't taking my arm." Until he stabs him again. So that makes 2.
Goody. So, the order is they're basically just the UAC summoning demons to try to do good things, but just end up causing bad things.
Yeah, a little bit.
Good. Something I can relate to.
So, when Nero's impaled, he thinks this is the end as he starts thinking it's over, and the screen fades to black.
But then all the voices inside his head.
Now, as at this point that Nero starts hearing a voice of Kyrie running for her life, screaming, and he starts yelling her name, and then he wakes up and boom! His eyes start glowing, and Yamato starts fidgeting and moving, and starts fitting back together. He starts stretching out his arm. Yamato flies to his hand. Agnus goes, "What the fuck?" and flies away. And then we get to see Agnus's angel form, aka demon form.
Oh. Huh.
AKA weird beetle form.
Yeah, that does look kind of beetly.
And yeah, and then after this, he looks up where he just was, and he sees Nero with a stand.
Persona.
Let me get my gun so I can blow my own head off. Oh wait, that's just my persona. wait. No. Let me rip off my glasses.
I like everyone. I like some people in the chat are going, "Kyrie, Kyrie." Yeah, he turns out this is Nero's devil trigger. And fun fact, this wasn't actually meant to be his devil trigger. It wasn't meant to be Stand Man. He was actually meant to transform, but they just turned it into this.
Actually a devil trigger.
Yeah, but instead he's got stando power.
I mean,
Anyway.
it still looks cool, but I would have liked to seen
Double
actual
nerf.
double trigger Nero.
But yeah, it is at this point Nero starts talking about, on that day force, my arm changed. And a voice echoed, power, give me more power. I wonder who says that. And
Dad.
Carl did?
You know what?
Carl's the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Wait, what's going on?
You're Nero's father, Carl.
Nice.
He's the stand.
It's like Maury, you are the father.
But yeah, he starts also talking about how if he becomes a demon, so be it. I will endure the exile. Anything to protect her. And then shortly after all this, he throws a really fast beam in Agnes that goes right by him and explodes a humongous hole behind him. And Agnes literally, I like his line here because he goes, "This is preposterous! Preposterous!" and then flies away. And then shortly after, Nero gets out of Devil Trigger form, starts like writhing on the floor, like checks his chest, and I would assume he feels the wound is gone because we don't see his clothes rip or anything. And in a really creepy scene, like really odd scene, and I like how Devil May Cry like does this, is you see like a character in pain like that, and then Nero just starts laughing for a little good bit, which Omar, it's one of Omar's favorite scenes.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
Dog, I need you to shut the fuck up, okay? Shut up.
So now that we got to Nero's Devil Trigger, I need you boys to rate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea. Stand Man is really cool,
Yeah.
but I would really have liked
This man
to
is a
see.
stand user from JoJo? What is this?
Yeah, but
yeah,
I
put
still
that
would have really
solid
liked to
10.
see Devil Man Nero, so I have to give it like a 7.
8 out of 10. Just because
like
it's unique.
It's definitely different than the others, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just throwing down a 10 because I think it's a really cool design.
Yeah, it's also really cool when you do combos with it, because the stando will just use a big old dick version of Yamato and start chopping up at the same time when you're using your sword. It's really cool
That's
looking.
dope.
I like someone in the oh, where did it go? I like Spirit Legion said, "Is this Nero's Ghost Sona?"
Yes.
Stando
Yeah.
power. Sakaburo ore no stando da. Yeah. It's pretty much a goddamn JoJo reference. But it's really cool. Now, moving along, we go on to Profession of Faith, and we see Nero has gotten out of the castle, and he starts to notice a humongous-ass forest. And however, while he's just, checking out the scenery and doing all that jazz, he hears a voice, and it turns out to be Dante going, "What the hell is this?" And Nero starts asking him a bunch of questions, like tries to ask him a question, and Dante says, "Must be the effect of the gate. Sorry, kid, this is gonna have to wait," and jumps off.
Hits the yeet.
Hits the yeet and goes off. But while that's going on, we cut back to the Order's headquarters, and Agnes literally busts in, saying, "Kratos, Nero fucked up my shit!" And yeah, that he's basically just really pissed off. And he starts talking about how Nero's got demonic power, and Sanctus is like, hey Kratos, could you give me Nero, please? I want to talk to him. But as they're talking about that, Kratos starts talking about who will then track Dante, and then Gloria says, "I will track Dante." And they just say, "Can you guarantee his capture?" And she'll just say yes.
She's
And-
like, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it is also stated that Gloria found the Sword of Sparta and gave it to the Order, so they kind of have a little bit of trust in her. As so.
That's understandable.
Yeah. However, but it is also at this point, Agnes tells Sanctus that Nero was screaming about Kyrie and how there may be more of a connection than just friends, and Sanctus kind of just gives off a creepy smile. And also during that, we encounter Echidna, the forest boss. Very,
That's not an echidna.
very, underrated boss. I mean, not underrated boss, underrated waifu. If you want to get a better look here. I don't know.
Poison Ivy?
Did you really just call that a waifu, Sam?
I mean,
Yes,
it's
yes, he did.
kinda. A little bit.
Right. She's alright.
It's not like 10 out of 10 material, but it's there.
Yeah, it's alright.
Anyway, yeah, Nero.
I don't think I'd be willing to put my dick in that because there's a lot of teeth that in the mouth, you know?
Yeah.
I still smash Curie.
Still thinking about Kyrie.
Yeah.
I love the like generic response of
I still smash Kyrie.
Smash Kyrie.
Anyway, continuing. Nero beats her up and she just complains about her kids, but who cares? Nero gets out of the forest and manages to get to the Order's headquarters because he's just looking for questions. Excuse me, looking for questions about what's going on. Sorry, I am literally turning into freaking Morty. I mean, sorry,
I
Rick.
know this area.
Yep. And as Nero's standing there, he sees Credo walking up to him. And as he's walking up to him, Nero starts asking him questions of why is the Order doing the shit it does? And who the hell's Dante? And then Credo goes, "You don't demand answers from me," and takes a shot at him, but he misses. And until Nero blocks his sword, and Kratos starts saying, "So you really do have the power of a demon." And literally the best boss fight in the game, second to, best boss fight in the game because of how cool it is. Nero just says, "I don't want to hurt you. I wouldn't do that to Kyrie." And Kratos goes, "You hurt me. I'll show you," or whatever, and he powers up Dragon Ball Z style. Kiryu,
Kiryu? Yakuza? We talking Yakuza out here, Sam?
Nero says "you too," and this big dick G shows up.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That's Kratos.
Yeah, Kratos gets his badass demon form, to which he says, as captain of the Holy Knights, I'm placing you under the rest. And let me just say, this is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best boss fights in video game history, because of how cool the back and forth between you and the boss is. I would go into major detail about it, but we're focusing on the story here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been going for over 2 hours.
Hey, we're going in hot. We're going in.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, hey, Titanlicious is here. Hello, dude.
What up, Titan?
Hello, Titan.
Yeah,
Oh, Titan.
moving along. So, I wanted to take this screen cap from the fight because Nero literally uppercuts him. It's really
Wow.
good. And when you beat Kratos in a really fun fight, you get the hold ability, and you throw him away from you. Nero blocks a hit from Kratos. He's got him knocked down and everything. And Nero's looks to be aiming for kill, as Kratos says, "Looks like your power is increased," until Nero hears a from behind him and
He's getting it.
dun dun dun.
Ooh.
Ooh, this looks bad.
Ooh, I can lead tonight.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Nero was like, man, I need to get lead.
Definitely does.
Oh, for real.
Oh man.
I
What?
mean,
Spirit Legion says, fun fact about Kratos, I made a mod that makes him black and purple like 8 years ago, and it's currently sitting at 60k views.
Whoa.
What?
I'll have to look at that later.
Serious?
For real?
We definitely need to look at that later.
Yes.
Spectre says, Sam, I just realized Nero has Zawaldo in DMC 5. Oh yeah, so Kyrie moved this in. Kyrie notices Nero with the demon arm. He tries to hide it away, but she's just in shock until Agnes shows up and he goes, we were trying to hide you away from the truth, but as you can see, Nero is a demon, oh my god! And Kratos gets up and he's quite pissed that Kyrie is being utilized, as Agnes states. The Pope, His Holiness, has ordered that your sister be utilized as he predicted your defeat. And that made Kratos kind of angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Agnes gets up, he starts flying and says, if you want her, come get her, and flies off. And is at this point as well, Kratos flies away as he's also wants to figure out what's going on with His Holiness as well, and we'll get back to them later. And we move into party crashing. Now, Nero's gotten deep into the headquarters at this point after fighting a couple more demons and angels and stuff, and he's walking forward until he hears someone talking. And who could it be besides your man himself, Dante?
Hey,
Papa
another
Dante.
He says, what took you so long? And Nero literally states, what are you doing here? Forget it. I don't have time for this. And Dante says, neither do I. Grabs his shoulder, and literally they try and ensue a fight. And Dante just says, cut to the chase. Literally throws Nero into a wall and states, I'm here for the sword. Virgil's sword. And Nero states, your point being. A huge explosion. Nero goes into Devil Trigger. Dante just states, that sword was my brother's. Just give it back to me. And just, yeah, and then Nero takes a shot at Dante, he jumps up, and then really the most hard boss in the entire game ensues from here.
I
Like,
actually really like the boss fight.
it's a really hard boss fight.
Hard, but I thought it was kind of fun after you got the hang of it.
I like to to quote Saul, he was it Saul? I don't remember. I know it was someone in our circle of friends who stated, yeah, playing DMC 4 against Dante is like playing against you, Sam.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
Devil May
huge
Cry had a burst mode, it'd be like fighting against Sam.
I don't want to challenge him then.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, no one does.
So Dante and Nero fight again in the hardest fight in the game. Here's a little snippet from a cool QuickTime event where they clash swords a bunch and Nero holds it back with his sword. And after the fight, Dante gets a good lead on. I just realized how weird this shot looks. Look at Nero.
It looked like
It's like he's on the
Dante
floor.
was skateboarding on Nero and then like jumped off him.
Jumped off. He's about to fly against a wall.
It looks like Nero is like someone took the shot in Photoshop with Nero if he was standing but then rotated it 90 degrees.
Yeah. This looks so weird.
I tried to take the best. I just realized how weird the shot looks. Anyway. Dante has him pinned down and states he cooled off yet, kid. And Nero tells him it looks like you've just been playing me from the beginning. And Dante states that sword was meant to separate our world from the demons, as he describes that Yamato is actually can seal. It kind of I get confused on this as well, but it's kind of just made clear here that it can seal the hell gates to open up the demon world, as we will kind of see later.
Oh.
And Dante says it's got to stay in the family, just give it back, and Nero just says, I need this. And Dante says, well, now that you're calm and cool, get going. I don't need to argue with you.
He said he needed it.
And it is also at this point, yeah, I like Spirit Legion's comment, this is where Dante just gives him the sword.
After trying to kill him for it.
Yeah, so it's at this point where Dante asks him what's his name, and Nero says, Nero, you're Dante, right? Not a bad name. And Dante says, neither is yours. And then Dante walks off. Nero walks off, hint, hint. So yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point that Nero has the blood of Sparta, considering that he has a connection with Virgil's sword. Which I'll talk about for a second. It is heavily implied that it is Virgil's son, that Nero is Virgil's kid. Now there is a
To be honest, I was already aware of that.
Yeah, it's just they heavily imply it in this game, but it's never like directly confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm just in 5, I know they're just gonna confirm it right off the bat. There is a decanonized manga that confirms it as well, but it's decanonized and the author was kind of shit. Anyway, but Gloria stands in the way, and it looks like they're about to have a confrontation until Dante just starts yucking it up and says, that regal look suits you. And Gloria says, I dress to impress, and starts ripping her clothes off. And who is it? It's Trish!
It's Mama Trish. Gotta love Trish.
You're right there?
They went from attractive woman with dark skin back to white chick.
She never had dark skin. Wait, what are you talking about?
Go back a slide.
No, because Gloria has tan
that's
skin.
Gloria. I don't know why I thought
Gloria.
you were talking about Devil May Cry 1
DMC
Trish. I was like,
1.
no.
I'm just that's so fucking dumb.
It's a Japanese game, Travis.
But
He's right, it is dumb.
but she looked better as Gloria.
I mean,
Gloria thinks it's disguised.
but yeah, she then kind of states to Dante, are you sure you want to let him go? And Dante thinks, yeah, I'm pretty sure he could bear the burden. And
Kid screws it up.
I'm just going to kick his ass.
Yep, I love that line.
Yeah.
Something. Mama!
Mama!
Gonna
Yeah.
treat you right, Mama.
Mama
I'm
Trish.
gonna show you right.
You got done.
What? Nobody knows Lonely Island?
Moving on. So after all that, Nero gets to Mickey.
Man.
Wow.
You know, I just realized if anyone finds this video that doesn't know a lot of our Hype Labs in-jokes, they're gonna be so goddamn confused.
So everybody who doesn't know, Mickey is... Think of your refrigerator. Think of a double refrigerator and whatever, like, you know how one door's smaller for your freezer and the other door's big for your fridge? Take Mickey as the big door.
I was just about to say that.
Mickey's a big dude, yeah.
Anyway, so
But,
yeah.
but I am bigger. in width, not in height. Mickey is taller than me.
I'm pretty tall too.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Nero stumbles upon what is called the Savior, aka the Mickey, and he sees Sanctus is on top of it, yucking it up, saying how isn't it Yeah, and he starts saying, "Isn't it beautiful?" And Nero goes, "I think we got a difference of opinion on that one." And
Man, I think your daughter's beautiful, but you look fugly.
and he starts to notice, after pointing his gun at it, Kyrie is inside of the Savior. As Sanctus describes that when you're in the Savior, you'll become as one, and your mortal bodies will combine to power it. So, Titanlicious said absolute unit. So yeah, he's got that on lockdown, and
100% unit.
He cock blocked Nero.
yeah, pretty much. This entire scene is just him yucking it up about Nero, just doing it.
Oh,
But it is at this point as well when you fight him, Nero gets grabbed by him after you fight him, as you can see here, and he starts saying, I must give credit to a man who carries the blood of Sparta. While not in Dante's league, I will take this opportunity to fuse you with the Savior, because according to him, he needs the blood of Sparta to power this thing, because the demon blood is powerful enough to do so, I guess. So he originally wanted Dante, but after now knowing Nero has the blood of Sparta, he's just gonna use Nero to do it. And also, he takes the sword away.
Oh, alright.
Dang it.
But tally ho, Kratos is here to cut the hoe.
You know.
You know, bro.
You know, bro, the big bro, Kratos.
Nero literally cucked.
Yodo.
So yeah, Kratos literally slaps him in two and tells him, Nero, run! Because it's already too late. And before you know it, he's already got it on probate and gets stabbed.
Shut up.
Oh.
I'll stop.
Damn.
Yeah, Kratos gets stabbed in the chest after looking away for 2 seconds. And Sanctus starts to ask him, why did you betray us? And Kratos says, I was all with you until you used my sister, Kitty A, who has nothing to do with this. And it is until then, Sanctus says, love for a sibling. How foolish. And tosses him off. And
Oh, you know.
And Sanctus And Sanctus literally states, all that is needed is absolute power. Literally pulling a Virgil here. And as he's falling, Dante manages to catch him. And starts to yuck it up. However, it is also right here that Sanctus notices them and and has a little remark towards Trish, and he goes, oh, it's Gloria. Yeah. And he starts to tell him, you're too late, as the Savior is nearly completed, as you fail to realize that another blood of Sparta is here. And Nero tries to punch him, but then gets stabbed in the arm.
Damn.
Yeah, and you learn here as well, it seems like whenever Nero gets directly stabbed in the devil arm like that, it just completely shuts him down. As you do.
Oh, wow.
System deleted.
Yeah, and Dante states here, hey kid, if you die without giving my sword back, I'm gonna be pissed. And Nero states after this, then come and get it.
It's a good response.
It
I
is.
like that middle finger.
True.
Yeah. A lot of people did not like Nero when he first came out, believe it or not.
But yeah, because they just wanted more Dante.
Yeah, but now people just started to appreciate him over time. But yeah, Nero manages to get Nero managed to get sucked into the Savior and starts to see Kyrie in a really hollow space, and starts telling her how much he failed her and how much he couldn't really do anything for her. And she just says, Nero, thank you. And as he reaches for her, He's not getting laid tonight.
Dang it!
Hit with the yoke.
He risked it for the biscuit, but he couldn't get it.
That's a oof.
So it is then he starts screaming a whole bunch, and he realizes he's trapped in a prey vagina.
Oh.
So yeah,
I think it's weird.
Yeah, he's literally stuck inside the core of the Savior. Yeah, so he's legit stuck. And the Savior gets up. Excuse me. The Savior, I get up, and flies in the air.
I get up.
So yeah, the Savior gets up, and Dante, when he sees it, he goes, "Hey, look! It's got wings!" And Trish says, "The design shows terrible taste."
Hey, look, it's got wings.
A guardian angel.
Yep. Spirit Legion says, "I've always liked Nero. I just want to give him hugs and pat his head and tell him everything's gonna be all right."
Don't lie to the boy.
So it is after this that we see Kratos barely struggling for his life, with Dante saying, "That thing's not complete, is it?" And Kratos just says, "You just gotta retrieve all the right stuff. You gotta shut off the Hell Gate before it opens up and really brings in the demon world." Because you realize here the plan Sanctus wants is to recreate the original demonic invasion that Sparta held off all those years ago. So he's trying to just basically what Nick said with the UAC and Doom. They're just trying to look like the good guys from stopping a humongous invasion, pretty much.
But they're causing a humongous invasion.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just trying to look like the good guys in this situation. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little do they realize if they open up the giant Hellgate for too long, it will open up the entire demon world on their asses. So that's why they got to shut it down, pretty much. But yeah. And moving forward, Kratos gives Dante one last request to save Nero and Kyrie from what's going on until he unfortunately dies in Dante's arm. Yeah, and then Kratos melts, and Dante vows, "I'll do it." And it is also at this point where getting names. I'm like getting half a second of names mixed up. Agnes starts plants the Yamato in the Hellgate activation thingamajiggy and opens it up. And literally, I am not kidding, it gets a sick bulge. You can see the bare bulge, and then...
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, and then...
God.
Splurge. A bunch of demons appear.
Yay. And they're all the same one, those fucking things.
Yep, the Fausts. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Mephistos. Mephistos. So yeah, a bunch of them come out, and then the Savior starts. Sanctus just starts yucking it up as, "The Savior is here, praise him!" And yeah, that's basically how that goes. And yeah, everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And Dante's just clapping away and says, "That's a solid performance for an old fart like you," and walks away. And it is at this point in the game where you actually start playing as Dante and where you get to really have fun. But it is also at this point where we know about Lady's request and why Dante's doing the things he does in this game. And Lady does return from 3, and she states to Dante that this organization called the Order is interrupting her jobs. They're taking devil arms and doing some really weird stuff. And she just wants him to help him investigate what's going on, and basically, she's just worried about something weird going on. And I like this scene because in the extended opening with Trish, because Lady and Trish have their own opening in the special, in the special edition, she literally steals that piece of pizza from him.
What a dirty bitch.
Yeah, she tries to get Dante and Trish to help her out with this job, and as she's talking about it with Dante, he says, "Well, I got something to keep me occupied," and Trish! And he looks behind him, and Trish is already gone.
Yep.
Wow.
Right when you need yo-ho, she ain't loyal.
Nope.
Wow.
Prophetic.
No loyalty.
So yeah,
No loyalty.
Trish is already gone to do it.
Yeah.
And at this point, Dante clears up. He literally goes and kills Echidna, explodes. He gets the badass Gilgamesh gauntlets from her.
Okay, those are pretty cool.
How would you rate this, boys?
I'd rate it a Ninja Gaiden out of Devil May Cry.
Ninja
I
Gaiden?
would 9 out of 10. It looked kind of cool.
Mhm.
8 out of 10 is pretty good.
Yeah.
And later on, he eventually gets to Dagon, who is another variation of Baal's race, and literally freezes him and cuts him in half. And then he gets Pandora, a suitcase.
You
Oh my
know,
goodness.
a box.
Now, how would you rate the box, boys?
10 out of 10, but that's because I know what it does.
How would you rate the box, boys?
10 out of 10, just because of how cool it looks.
Travis?
Well, no. 9.5 out of 10, because I have no idea what it does.
I'm gonna have to give it a 5 because Kratos' Pandora's box was way cooler.
Okay, well, do you wanna take a guess at do you wanna take a stab at what this does, guys? I know Nick already knows what it does, but you wanna take a stab?
Weapon change.
Well, it has a lot of DACA.
DACA? Oh yeah, that's straight up.
It does that, by the way, in case you wanted to know.
Okay, now it's a 12. It wins.
Yes.
My inner orc has decided
Inner
with,
orc.
Like Travis, if you just paint red on it, it would just come straight out of Warhammer 40k.
Yes. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, think about
orcs
it.
before the old one, before the Dark Children fell, they would have ridden it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Pandora has.
People's heads. This is great.
Yeah, Pandora is a weapon that is mainly a gun, but it has 666 different forms that it can use, and it is awesome. This is one of Omar's favorite weapons in the game. It is really neat.
That is the best orc weapon I have ever seen.
That's wonderful.
Why you only shoot straight, but I can shoot at everything in front of me there. See,
But you can't shoot in front of your nose. Oh, okay, I can just turn a bit and it's gone.
Oh my god.
Space Marine.
it doesn't matter, I'm shooting anyway.
But
Yeah.
what if it's red?
So yeah,
Then it's gonna be fast.
Then it's gonna be faster than you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You just said that red makes things faster, and you are not red.
for people that don't know what Travis is talking about, there's a thing in Warhammer 40k. There's a race called Orcs, and they literally believe painting things red either makes it go faster or does more damage.
And it does make them go faster.
And it does.
defies the laws of physics. If you put two cars next to each other, let's say you put two fucking Bugattis right next to each other. One's red and one is like neon pink. The red one will go faster.
He's right. The red one's always better.
Taped wings on that bitch, it would fly. Because the orc's sheer willpower is,
I put wings on this so he can fly.
they're just so goddamn stubborn that they break the laws of physics.
Titanlicious just said orcs.
Orcs.
Anyway, shall we continue? Dante
Yes.
further clears up with fighting Burial, and literally kicks his ass as well, shoots him in the head and he explodes. And when he kills him, he gets the Lucifer blades, which all they do is shoot little exploding swords, and which this is one of those scenes that the screenshots cannot do justice, which is also something you might have to look up, because he throws a bunch of these little darts that then explode.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. How would you rate Lucifer, boys? Because it's literally just like a big old scout like skull with big old antler thingies that he pulls to get darts.
9 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10.
7.5.
Alright. But what's funny is that Dante in the scene, he gets it. Spanish music is playing.
Oh my god.
Oh, what you're reading, Travis, is what Dante actually says during this scene.
What? Are you kidding me?
Oh, during the scene?
He literally says that. He literally says, "First I whip it out, then I thrust it with great force. Every angle, it penetrates." He literally says all that during the cutscene.
It's gonna be excellent.
Yeah, and then in right here he says, "In the end," and then when he claps, they all explode and form the heart, and he goes, "You're all satisfied. You're set free." And he throws a flower, and it hits the one in the center, and then the heart splits in half.
Damn, he threw a fucking flower that far?
Yeah, Dante's a badass, man. But another scene that screenshots cannot do any justice is when he meets Agnes. Now, you look at this and you wonder what the hell's going on. This
pretty much gotta figure it out.
This is honestly one of those scenes that you gotta look up again, as Dante and Agnes literally have a Shakespearean duet. It
Makes
is
sense.
something seen to be believed, honestly. It is quite awesome. And after he fights Agnes, he just starts complaining about he didn't get his homework done, and he gets shot, and he dies. Yeah, the Agnes scene is a masterpiece, Mohammed. It is. So yeah, after he beats Agnes, he gets Yamato back. And the cool thing is that Dante gets Yamato for his moveset in this game, and it is awesome.
Yep. Which means you get a 5th stance to use.
Yep.
So much
Now,
stuff.
when he gets to the big-ass Hell Gate, he then gets out Yamato and says, "I know this thing's a major cultural artifact, but it's bad for the community." And he takes a slice at the Hell Gate, then takes a bunch more slices at it, and literally paying tribute to his brother, he sheaths it just like him, and then the thing just splits in two and falls over.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's just Dante is so epic.
He is.
He's just always having a great time.
Yeah, speaking of epic, let's talk about when Dante fights the Savior. Because this is where things get nuts. Now,
really crazy.
so he gets the Savior and starts talking to him about how we can end this right here. And Sanctus literally has the balls to ask him, what would it take for you to alter your position? And Dante, oh, no, it's before that. Like, Sanctus just starts yucking it up again of, "You can never touch the power of the Savior." And Dante just says, "Sounds like you're overcompensating. Then again, I don't want you creaking your neck for looking down at me." But yeah, it's like shortly after this, Sanctus has the balls to ask him, what would it take for you to alter your position? And Dante says, "How about death?" And then Sanctus starts sending a bunch of Angelos at him, and he starts dodging them Matrix style until he throws the sword at the Savior, lands on it, and says, "Ready to eat your words?" And Sanctus literally tries to take a slash at him until he disappears, looks behind him, and whoop-a-bam! Shot to death.
Yeet.
Yeah, turns out true form must be inside. And he's got to fight the big dick.
Biggest of dicks.
Yeah.
Biggest dickus Primus.
I mean, that pretty much describes Mickey here. Anyway.
Plenty of BDE flowing around.
So, in this fight, it just turns out to be a humongous, excuse me. This fight's interesting because you jump on a bunch of platforms while trying to fight the Savior, and it's a really interesting fight. Fun fact, there's a move the Savior does where he shoots a hype beam at you that charges up, and Dante's Royal Guard style that has a parry, you can actually parry it.
Yeah.
And Nick getting upset because he wishes he could do that. Anyway, continuing, after the fight, Dante manages to get on the core of the Savior and stabs Yamato into it. And says, if the exterior is solid, this is hella stupid by the way, Dante starts shooting bullets at the sword, literally doing that.
I don't know what you're talking about, that's great.
And literally, one other bullet comes in and hits it, and it lands straight into the core.
Oh my. Because why not?
Because Devil May Cry. And Dante just starts yelling for Nero, saying, "Time to wake up, kid! You're missing out on the fun!" And then Nero's like, Nero doesn't get up until Nero says, "Kyrie's got mad boner!" And Nero's like,
Nero said, "Oi."
No, I'm just kidding. No, Dante doesn't actually say that. Yeah. Nero gets up, he grabs the sword, and manages to get out. And yeah, I'd be that excited too if I got out. Anyway,
By
yeah.
the way, that was me accidentally dropping a piece of ice in the bottom of my really deep metal cup.
Good.
That's fine.
Oh. Carl, you mute your mic, Carl?
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I accidentally fell asleep. My mistake. Oh my god, star.
Oh no.
Oh shit. Dude, just fuck it, go to bed. Fuck off. It's super late already.
No. I'm good this time.
We're...
Plus, I poured some water on my face. I legit did that.
My God.
He didn't do it on purpose, guys.
The
He fell
dedication.
onto his keyboard and he knocked his cup of water over onto himself and his keyboard. So his keyboard's dead, but he's wide awake.
Oh no, I don't. I'm on my phone using it.
Oh, okay.
Carl, the trick is not to be in bed. That does not help. Or be lying down. Gotta be sitting up.
Right, because I'm legit doing that. I was sitting up the entire time, but like I was zoning out.
You were slowly like sinking into whatever you were sitting.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point too.
We're almost at the end, boys. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Shut up, Spectre.
Don't make cry. Yo, this game is long. God.
Yeah, I know. Carl, I just want to inform you, Spectre says Carl was jerking it.
No, I was not. That's not funny.
Think about Kyria.
No, stop, Nick.
Anyway, yeah, Nero wakes up and he says, "Time to clear up this mess." And then we get to Sanctus. Well, after Nero fights all the bosses again, we get to Sanctus Diabolica. Oh my god, looks like I forgot to clip this out. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh, there we go. Oh my god. I don't know what happened.
Oh my
there.
god.
Hang on a minute. Let me fix this.
What the hell's going on here?
I guess I forgot to like trim this out because I was like copying and pasting things. There we go. Fixed it. Anyway. Not everything's perfect, chat. So Nero manages to get inside the core of Savior and sees Kyrie trapped. And he notices Sanctus is very demonized here. Look at him.
Now that's super Pope.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's super demonized.
Yeah, he's got the orb on him and everything. He's super demonized. And he basically just starts giving Nero a lot of shit here. and starts saying, "You should love for a sibling. That's dumb." And Nero says, like, just cute, like, Sanctus says, "What is love for a sibling?" And Nero says, "Look it up," and goes, "Koi!" And they do fight.
Yo,
Yeah, they block the shot, and then the epic fight happens, and not the best final boss for a DMC in my opinion, but the ending is what makes it worth it. Now, here is what Nero does when you grab him. He literally enlarges the stand and does a big old Koi!
Yeah.
You know. Koi.
Yeah, Koi. And this is actually how you have to beat him, by the way. You have to grab him in a 5-frame move. It's really hard. But yeah, after that, Sanctus starts just saying, "Am I not worthy of the power, Sparta? Oh my god!" And
they said, "No, you're not. Go
and
away."
Nero's like, "Sparta believed in love and the power of a human. That is what you lack." Again, showing the moral of the series, how humans have something that demons don't. And Nero states to Kyrie, "Just give me one moment," and literally does the coolest thing ever here. So what he does is tosses Yamato. Sanctus goes, "Huh?" and gets distracted and then pushed to the wall. And then Nero grabs it again, goes in for the 6 style, and Koi!
Oof. That's a corpse right there.
Yep, and the mad Koi indeed. There's a good shot of it for you.
That's a corpse.
Yep, literally stabbed in the gut. And he manages to get Kyrie out of the core. And Sanctus gets snapped.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Sanctus pulls "I'm not feeling so good" and just evaporates. And
You just said that, Sam.
yeah, and then he rescues Kyrie. They manage to get out, and everything's all good. And they get Kyrie out, and Nero manages to return Sparta until he's still alive.
Oh, I was gonna say that he was gonna have a lasagna form too.
John, where's my Lasaga?
Where's my lasagna? So yeah, it turns out that Sanctus literally fused with the Savior, which explains the face.
Oh yeah.
And Nero just hands Dante Sparta and says, "I started this. I'm gonna finish it." And literally, Nero walking up to Sanctus, he goes, "You know, God, I don't know why you made my arm like this, but it's helped me kick a lot of demons' asses lately. Who would have thought?" Pretty much.
Who would have thought?
And then, now, after another really quick time event type deal, Nero enlarges Dong, grabs his head. He's going for the kill. And he says, "Now I know this ham was made for killing guys like you who came out of hell," or whatever. Sending you guys back to hell. And says, "And now you die!" And crushes his head.
Damn.
And,
That's pretty good.
And lands stylishly back in action. And then we reach a new life. So after everything's over, Dante's still standing there, and Nero walks up and sees Dante and says, "I should thank you." And Dante says, "Well, that's out of character. Why don't you throw an insult my way instead?" And Nero says, "That sounds better, but I still owe you." And says, "Do you want this back?" And Dante says, "Keep it." And Dante just entrusts Yamato to him, knowing that because at this point, I think Dante just knows that Nero is related to him in some fashion, and he just
Yeah.
wants him to keep it,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Good old Uncle Dante.
Why don't you steal
Yep.
the sword back from him? You know he's just gonna die, or cut his hair, or not look cool.
Anyway, yeah, he just entrusts the sword to Nero, and in one last parting word, Nero says, "When we meet again," and Dante just gives him a finger and walks away. And then Nero just seals the sword, just puts the sword in his arm.
Dante hits him with a give it 11 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hits him with the good old 1 year, then another year for 11 years.
And it's also at this point where Kyrie says the city's a mess, and Nero wants to wonder if he's okay with this, and Kyrie states, "I don't care that you're a demon, I just like you for who you are." Nero gives back the necklace from earlier.
Okay. Here's the real translation. Yo, that's what yo dominant hand looks like, son. Shit, you must beat that meat regularly. Yes.
Yep.
I hope you. I hope
It's
you.
1 in the morning for me, man. You can't expect anything else.
I hope you burn. Anyway, Nero and Kyrie go for a kiss until Mickey starts watching.
The time has come, and so have I.
Yeah, pretty much.
The
And
time has come to
so-
make it so no main character gets a fucking
Then-
kiss.
Then they smash Half Joker Happy.
Yeah, Spirit Legion puts it great here, and they can't. Never mind, he gets demon cucked. Yeah, Nero.
They lived happily ever. Goddamn demon cuck.
So is that here? Nero says, "Let's rock," grabs the screen, and that's Devil May Cry 4 in a nutshell.
Nutshell my ass. That was like the longest one.
It was.
We got one more, boys. We're almost at the end.
Alright.
Now, any questions from all that?
Wait,
No.
wait, wasn't that 5?
When they
Wait,
smash
that
it.
was... Isn't
That was-
5 the one coming out? So...
Yeah.
so this thing-
We're gonna talk about. Are we gonna talk about 5 now?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about 5. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Remember one thing.
Yeah.
Why does Kyrie look like a character from Final Fantasy 12 or something?
I wish I knew.
That was weird. I just knew